This is a second preview of the Ravens-Bills matchup for Week 4 that'll be in Baltimore. After rewatching the New England game, specifically the Ravens offense, a third time through now, one of the things that became apparent was there's still some of the same concepts succeeding and being utilized by the Ravens in 2022 that were used early in that division round lost in 2020 up in Buffalo that the Ravens lost 17-3. Bills offense struggled with run defense early in that game, and I'm going to show you some plays that are very similar conceptually that the Ravens used against New England. Counter windback, which I've already produced a video for on Tuesday afternoon, that the Ravens used to great effect against the Bills in 2020. Now, of course, we had a pre-injury J.K. Dobbins and a pre-injury Gus Edwards, but we did not have the receiving weapons, the developed receiving weapons that we have now. We just did not. We did not have the 2022 version of Rashad Bateman, and we did not have the 2022 version of Devin Duvernay. We just did not. I think this game will simultaneously be similar to that game and different, and here's why. You can't settle for field goals against this Bills team, not with this Ravens defense, at least the way we perceive this Ravens defense right now, right? So even though Tucker missed 2 field goals in the first half of that game, which was big momentum swing, because as I recall, it was a quite windy and cold day, so there wasn't a lot of points scored. It's not like the Bills, did a whole lot offensively against our defense, but that dynamic, the Bills' offense versus our defense, was drastically different in that playoff game in Buffalo than it will be this Sunday in Baltimore. Now, the rain is going to impact the game as well. So when I say that it's going to be similar and different, what I mean is it'll be different because I think the matchup is more skewed in the offense's favor in both situations. The Bills have some injury problems to their secondary, apparently, and I think one of their D tackles will miss the game. So that's going to have a huge impact on what is a fantastic defense. I think the world of Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott as well is a defensive coach from a defensive mindset at least. So I think that they're of excellent defense. So if you're listening to this and you're a Ravens fan, Bills fan, whatever, I'm not saying that the Ravens offense is better than the Bills defense generally, but number one, with the injury losses, and number two, with the rain impacting the game, I think the game will in some ways resemble the 2020 playoff game from the standpoint of certain play concepts, certain play types may be out of the window, depending on how much rain there is, depending on how much wind there is. We don't know. As I record this, it's Thursday afternoon. So what we're going to do is show some film from the Ravens win over New England in Week 3, and then show you the Ravens' first possession against the Bills in 2020. And it will be very complimentary of both teams, to be honest with you. The Bills' defense has 2 automatic checks on that first possession that continue to impress me to this day. Counter windback here, so Lamar is stepping off the midline and facing in this direction. So you would think that the back would be going here, and Lamar's either going to give it to the back, in this case Justice Hill, or keep it and run around the edge. But no, it's counter windback. So the back is going to take the midline and then veer back to the other side. The Ravens really took advantage of New England's defense with this, creating angles with their offensive line, particularly Pat Ricard, and then also the pulling lineman aspect of it. So it's a gap scheme, but it looks like option. Sometimes Lamar's reading this, sometimes he is not. I don't think on this play he is reading this. You can kind of tell by this cup block on the backside by the tight end. If Lamar could potentially keep this, if off the right side, then he would be releasing up to the second level or possibly veer releasing to go get the safety. This is just a counter play. It's not a counter option play. When you see the film in a couple of minutes here of the Bills-Ravens 2020 division round playoff game, you'll be able to tell that Lamar's reading it because on 2 of the plays he keeps it. Another pistol windback play, this one behind Ricard and the pulling right guard Zeitler, J.K. Dobbins for 5 or 6. Justice Hill back in. This is the big one. One of the inside linebackers for the Patriots falls down on this play. Justice Hill makes a couple of wild-looking cuts. But you can see Lamar opens to his left, the offense's left, so his face mask is looking this way. So you would think that the running back would hit to that side or Lamar would keep it around the edge. No, it's a wind back. Justice Hill is going to the left of Lamar and then following the pulling lineman. Now, we know he ends up making a fantastic cut, almost scoring here. By the way, Bentley, who's a great football player, if you ask me, really smart. I love his intensity and enthusiasm pre-snap, and once the ball is snapped, he communicates great. Happens to fall down on this play, and we take advantage of it. Justin Hill runs into that vacated space. So you ask, well, how does this relate to the 2020 game? The Bills were eventually able to slow some of the pistol run game stuff. Similar here, like the Patriots. As the game went on, the Patriots were able to get. Now, it's not that simple that it's just an 8-man front because the Bills would rather be in a 2-high safety look. And you can see here the Patriots have moved into a 1-high safety look. They've moved this strong safety number 3 down. Ravens are essentially running power with Ricard kicking out this edge player. And then the right guard, which again is Zeitler, is going to pull and wrap. Ravens are trying to get to the safety with the receiver, Demarcus Robinson. He's not able to get a good block on him, and that guy, number 3, is the main portion of the play that helps this play get stopped. You can see he's worked his way inside the gap here. Were he not to be there, the Ravens kind of do have a hat for a hat in terms of the kick-out block by Ricard. I think this is Heap trying to deal with a D tackle, and he's not really, winning that battle. He actually gets kind of pushed back into the backfield, which kind of gets in Zeitler's way as Zeitler is pulling. But number 3, the 8th man in the box, that 8th defender, is the guy that is the difference between that being a 1-yard gain and potentially being a 5 or 6-yard gain. End zone angle, the defender I'm talking about is right here. You want to pay attention to Lamar as well. Lamar opens to his right, gives up the midline. The midline is wherever the ball is snapped in a direct line, parallel with the sideline, parallel with the hashes. So when I say midline, I'm talking about this line right here. And Lamar gives up the midline so that the running back can run down the midline and then veer it back to this side. So that's why I call it wind back. You can call it counter. That's fine too. I call it counter wind back to try to be all encompassing. All right, Ravens Bills 2020. What's going to be different? What's going to be the same? Well, the Bills are missing some pieces defensively, obviously, and that's going to have an impact. Still played well defensively down in Miami with at least 2 of those guys missing, maybe 3. Early in the game, Bills are in their 4-3 look. 3 inside linebackers. They still got Milano and Edmonds, fantastic football players. Stretch to Gus, and he cuts it back. Great job by Ricard. We end up really grinding on them early in the run game out of the pistol. Now, the main point that I'm going to make has been obscured so far. Where I think this game will be different is when the Ravens get into 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2. They have the ability to punish the defense now with Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay. Obviously, Mark Andrews was around in that game. Wasn't the exact same version that we have now of Mark Andrews, but he was developing into an elite player. He clearly is established already. The Bills in this game consistently were bringing this corner on blitzes or just walking them up like they appear to be doing here. It's the corner on the right side. And on this first possession later on, you'll see a blitz that's really effective for a sack. Ravens O-line did a great job on this play. And Gus Edwards is just incredibly underrated. Watch him weave through here. The cool thing about this play is Lamar is opening to the right. Ricard is motioning to the right. So generally you would think that you're talking about option to that side with the back running downhill, Lamar possibly keeping it and running it around the edge. No, it's not. They haven't fooled this linebacker, Matt Milano. He's too smart to be fooled. But Ricard's motion left to right is pulling him out of there. Then we've got the pulling guards. We've got pulling linemen right to left. And we're winding this back. You got the kick out block by, I think, Macari here on the corner, the blitzing corner. And then I think that's Tyree Phillips, who's now with the Giants, pulling and logging Edmonds, the Mike. Gus makes people miss, just chewing through them early with the run game. Are the Ravens going to be able to do this consistently against the Bills? No. Are they going to be able to run for 6, 8, 10 yards a pop against this Bills defense? No, no way. They're too talented, they're too tough, too well coached. Are they going to be able to do this in spurts like they did in 2020 game? Yes. Will the run game be able to run this same counter wind back motion consistently? No. I think at some point on like a 2nd and 1, like I think this is a 2nd and 1 here, we're going to have a mesh out of the pistol with the running back and the quarterback and then hit something, big on these guys to get their attention. The Bills, in my opinion, want to stay in a too-high look, generally pre-snap. But it's not that simple. You can stop the run from a too-high look. The Bills are very fundamental, if you ask me. They really remind me of the Bengals. Actually, let me rephrase that. The Bengals remind me of the Bills. I would say some of the things that were done defensively by the Bengals in 2021, the foundation, that book was written by the Bills in this 2020 division round playoff game. They did a lot of things that were incredibly smart and were advanced. All right, so this is a give read by Lamar because he's reading Hughes. who I believe is now with the Texans here. He's not stepping down violently enough, so this is a give. Behind the pulling lineman, Tyree Phillips. This time he doesn't log him. He kicks out the inside linebacker. We get another good gain. You can see the Ravens' run game was rolling. Second and third possessions, Ravens were not as effective. Fourth possession, which I'll show you in a later video, probably Thursday night or Friday, Ravens' run game got going a little bit more. Again, bringing that corner off the edge, to me, I thought I saw it in the boundary a lot. So when I say that corner, I mean this corner here. And JK is going to try to spin out of it. Now, this is not a counter option look. This is just straight flow. So, Ricard, the fullback, flowing to the offense's left, defense's right. Lamar opening to that same side, and the running back coming. So, that's just straight flow. You'll get the end zone angle, and I'll try to explain it a little better. But great play by the corner, great call by their coaching staff. That was a 2nd and 2, I believe. Third and 2. Again, 2 safety look, but you can see the safeties are a little closer now. Still 4-3 base, 4 down linemen, 3 inside backers. Later on in the game, they went to their nickel with Taron Johnson, who's a great football player. QB counter read. Surprised? No, you shouldn't be. 3rd and 2, QB counter read. The difference, if you ask me, is with Bateman and Duvernay, who has now won multiple matchups on 3rd down, the Ravens can threaten you with the pass in this situation. And in my opinion, that's what they have to do. In my opinion, the Ravens have to attack on 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2 with the pass game. QB counter read is something that, in my opinion, should be used late. And many of us that, Ravens content creators, people that comment on this channel, not just me, many people have been saying that for about a year. Yes, this is a great play. It's a virtually unstoppable concept in certain situations. Having said that, we should be using it sparingly because we have a quarterback who can do the things that every other quarterback can do, including Josh Allen. 1st and 10, Bills decide, okay, time to ramp it up. 6-1 look. So they walked up their inside backers. I mean, most of you are going to refer to these guys as outside backers. I understand that. My coaching background, just says to me that when you're in a 4-3, you have 3 inside backers. But I understand if you want to call these guys outside backers because they are the players that, would walk up to the line of scrimmage in this 6-1 look. So they're serious now about stopping the run game, and the Ravens are going to go regular option at this time. So some really, I'd say, timely calls by the Ravens. And we'll get the end zone angle. You get a better view of it. You're still going to get pulling linemen. And then Ricard from the other side is going to read the edge player just like Lamar does. And Lamar determines that this is a keep. Because that lineman, number 93, I believe, has run down the line to take the running back. And in a lot of situations, first of all, the Bills are extremely well coached. These defensive linemen are actually tackling the dive back when he doesn't have the football. That's the way you're supposed to do it. Lamar keeps it, kind of does that little Le'Veon Bell thing, gets sucked up inside, and then bounces it outside for a huge gain. So 2nd and 3. Again, this is the situation that I think will have to be different. Now, the rain will impact the Bills' offense. The rain could also impact the Ravens' offense. 2nd and 3. Bills are rolled up to the tight end side. It ends up being twin wing because we walk Ricard up. So they rolled the corner up there. By the way, that's the same corner that blitzed to the boundary. So it appears as if they're playing boundary side and field side corners. Little RPO look. We miss Marquise Brown right here. Wide open on the read. But when you look at the angle of this, when we're reading this guy, I don't know what his field of vision is. But to me, it looks like there's some clutter. There's some trash in between Lamar and Marquise Brown, not absolving him of blame. Like you want to throw the ball to the open guy, period. But it looks like to me there's some people between him and Marquise Brown, and the possibility exists that they could knock that ball down. I don't think Lamar is able to think of that in the midst of making this decision here for the give to the running back or the keep. Now, this is not an option like I just showed you so far. This is an RPO. So the run is Gus over here, and then the pass is to the other side over here. The third portion of this, or fourth really, because the first option is the give to the running back, run. The second and third option is Willie Snead and Marquise Brown off screen to our left. Now we know he throws to Willie Snead. The fourth option here doesn't really have to be coached in. It's just kind of instinctual, is the quarterback keeping it and running it. So there's a lot of people who talk about RPOs being quarterback run plays. They are not. Conceptually, they are not. Design-wise, they are not. Now, pistol option plays, like I've shown you so far, they certainly are. 3rd and 2, Bills are geared up to stop the run. Now, that same corner that I called a boundary side corner is now to the field. The ball is on the left hash. He's to the field, and that's been the guy who's been blitzing some. He's walked up here again. Gus almost gets this first down. We're going to fast forward some. The point that I'm trying to make to you, and I've maybe taken too long to get there, is these situations, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2, in my opinion, is where this game, well, it will be different, or another way to say it is, it has to be different. Because settling for field goals or field goal attempts, like the Ravens do on this possession, is not sustainable in terms of trying to beat this team. Now, if you're a Bills fan or someone watching this who is not really that familiar with the Ravens team or doesn't watch a lot of film of them or maybe doesn't watch this channel, it is a different situation this year, period. It is. We have multiple options now. Rashad Bateman, he only has 8 catches through 3 games. He's averaging 28 yards a catch. When he makes a catch, it's a huge gain. And this is him not just beating Xavier Howard, leaving him. So we have the type of weapon that if people want to play man, it's a bad idea against this 2022 Ravens team. So formula-wise, the Bills kind of are set up well, if you ask me, because they play, I would say they play a quarter split field type coverage. Generally, they're not asking their guys to be in man. The Dolphins play a very risky defense, if you ask me, where they're locked up in man often. And if you can get through the first level, there is literally no one to support that player, as you see on this 75-yard touchdown pass to Rashad Bateman that was a slant completed at like 7.5, 8 yards. Ravens have big playability with Bateman, Duvernay, who I've done enough videos on in the last 2 weeks, so I'm not going to include any of his plays here. But here against New England, again, against man. A lot of the Ravens' big plays have come against man. I may know nothing about football, and if I don't know anything, then the Bills coaches have looked at this and made a different conclusion than me. In my opinion, you watch this, your conclusion is we're not going to get caught playing man against this team because they have people who can beat you. Lamar throwing this off the back foot. There's clearly pressure right in his face. I think it's a smaller but tough inside linebacker, number 30. I think that's who that is. And you can see you've got a matchup. It's one-on-one, physical coverage. And Mark Andrews wins that matchup. Look, the Bills have playmakers. Even without, I think Micah Hyde is out. I think Tre'Davious White is out. Forgive me if I mispronounce his name. In my opinion, you're not going to succeed for 4 quarters against this Ravens offense playing man. You're not. They have too much talent, too many playmakers. Haven't shown you any plays of Duvernay, but if you're new to the channel or new to what I do here, believe me, they being the Ravens, are making plays against man consistently. Lamar's 79-yard touchdown run against the Dolphins, that was against man. All right, if you enjoy, my content, please consider joining my Discord, which is through Patreon, or you can join for YouTube, $5 a month. It's a way to, support me, help me continue to create more content, maybe turn this into a larger gig in terms of my time dedication. Because of the increased revenue. If you're not interested in it, forgive the intrusion here on the video, but I would not be doing my due diligence as a content creator if I was not making you aware of this option. All right, 4th and 1, back to that 2020 game. I have already said on the previous play, I think those 3rd and 2 situations, the Ravens need to look at trying to punish the defense, take advantage of these one-on-one matchups. Well, here's a 4th and 1. We know Ravens have not been good in this situation in 2022 and apparently weren't good at it here. These quarterback sneaks. Luckily, we got a penalty on the Bills here. Otherwise, it would have been a turnover on downs on the first possession. And we know that we didn't get points out of this. It was a very disappointing possession for the Ravens. But the Bills made it difficult. Even though we ran the ball between the 20s, between the 25s, that's a classic old-school defensive coordinator mentality. Not that we're going to let you run the ball, but we're going to let you accomplish certain things up to a certain point. And then we're going to drop the hammer on you. And to me, Leslie Frazier is an old school coach. Sean McDermott might not be, but this is just brilliant stuff. Remember I was talking about boundary side corner, balls on the left hash. Here's that guy who I referred to as a boundary side corner, but he was actually lined up to the field twice. On this motion, the Bills are going to do something that the Bengals did the previous year, which is, the following year, 2021. They're going to run Milano out of here with the guy in motion. Now, what the Bengals do not do is they don't bring the corner like the Bills do. This is spectacular. They end up getting a sack. It's a 1st and 10. The Ravens have decided to eschew the run for whatever reason, try to catch them. So I'm advocating for the Ravens to be aggressive. Here's a situation where you could say, well, Coach, here's the Ravens trying to be aggressive. Well, I think there's a different team this year. I don't think you can get away with leaving Rashad Bateman alone with the boundary side corner. Here's why. Rashad Bateman catches a little snag route. Rashad Bateman can turn and take that thing to the house. And if you don't believe me, look at some of his yards after catch stats this year. It's incredible. Look at the people he's juked. Xavier Howard, the corner for the Patriots last week. Rashad Bateman is explosive. You may say, well, he's not a number one receiver. Okay, grow up with your way of talking about football. He's a guy who makes plays and punishes people with big plays. Devin Duvernay is doing that as well this year. It's a different dynamic. All right, so now this forces a 2nd and 20 after that sack. Here's how incredibly smart the Bills are. And I talked about this in a video I put out, I think, Tuesday night, maybe early Wednesday morning. This is 2nd and 20. The Ravens are in their QB counter read formation offensively, where it's A-gun, so the tight end and the back are both on the right-hand side. And the Bills, who would have prepped for that formation and those circumstances, which normally is 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. You saw that earlier about midfield, right? It was a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and we go QB counter read. Lamar gets first down. 2nd and 20, we go QB counter read. The Bills have the perfect call to stop it. That is not an accident. That's not an accident. That is recognition and communication by their defense. Now, you may say, no, they're just in the right call. That's not an accident. It doesn't happen whereby you've got the back crossing Lamar's face, this D-end, who is the read man, slamming down violently at Lamar to force a give read. So you say, well, Coach, he should be open. Give it. He's open. Wrong. This nickel, Taron Johnson, I believe it's Taron Johnson, he's a great player, is running at the location, at the point where J.K. Dobbins would be. So it's a timed, well-executed blitz. Simultaneous to that, up at the top side, you have this D-end doing the same thing as the field side D-end, and Matt Milano doing the same thing that this nickel is. On 2nd and 20, they're selling out to stop QB counter read because they know it's coming. They know it's coming because they recognize the formation. Why do they recognize the formation? Because they do film study and they recognize situations where the Ravens are predictable. If the Ravens are going to be predictable like this, and I don't think they are, but if they are, then the Bills are going to stop them. That's just reality. Because the Bills are going to be prepared from a film study standpoint. They're going to recognize formations, recognize the circumstances. Watch these DNs, by the way. They're stepping down violently. I referred to this the other day in a video as the 4-3 lightning blitz. Lightning is something that people used to use against the wing T. Some people call it Okie dog pinch, but it's not exactly Okie dog pinch because it's not from a 5-2 or 3-4 platform. It's just a great call on 2nd and 20. 3rd and 18. This should look familiar for Ravens fans. What do you play on 3rd and 18? You usually play soft coverage. You give up 12 yards. Cool, no problem. The Bills kind of started this. This looks very much to me like blitz 0 that Miami played. Why do you do that? To get the ball out of his hands. You do that because he's so dangerous. You want to get the ball out of his hands. I offer to you that if the Bills do this, there are some returns for them. Because they could, force us into short passes, maybe incompletions, get us off schedule. However, the post-catch ability of Rashad Bateman, even Devin Duvernay, cannot be understated. I think the dynamic is different. I think both offenses kind of hold the advantage over the defenses, and that's not meant to be insulting about the Bills' defense. They're certainly very good, and the stats show that. However, I think that the playmakers the Ravens have this year, the ones they've developed and or added since this game, are going to change the dynamic. I don't do score predictions. I do ranges. I'll do that Saturday morning during the live stream. If you enjoy this content, please let me know. If you think there's elements that I missed or things that I have said that are off base. Of course, this was very surprising that Justin Tucker missed not 1 but 2 field goals on the road, and the Bills were able to take advantage, go get a touchdown on the first possession of the third quarter, really changed the dynamic of the game. Before that, pick 6 by Taron Johnson, pretty much finished us off. You guys let me know what you think of this preview. My point was to show the counter wind back style or conceptual play, how it was effective against the Patriots, how it was effective against the Bills in 2020, and also to illustrate the point that I think teams are going to be better served not playing man, not playing man free. I think the Bills coaches are smart enough to recognize that, and it's possible that you're going to see some too high quarters split field coverages. I'm not saying cover two. I'm saying split field coverages, and if you don't know what that is, let me know in the comment section. And what that could do is, yes, it could open up things for the Ravens' run game, particularly the counter wind back style plays. Let me know what you think of the preview. I intend to do probably 4 of them overall, along with Saturday morning's live stream, which is typically usually devoted to the Ravens' upcoming opponent. If you're a Ravens fan, and you appreciate this content, please like the video. Sometimes we end up with like 80 people watching the premiere. It's only like 17 likes. So if you don't like the content, say so. Tell me why, because I would like to improve the content to improve you guys' experience and make things better on your end and on my end as well. Appreciate you guys checking out the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, if you're a Bills fan or something like that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel and you made it this long, first of all, thank you. Second of all, please consider subscribing to the channel. We're trying to get to 6,000 viewers before the end of the week. Appreciate you guys' time.